Well, I finally got my Harum Scarum sessions. I've had this for a few days now, so I've had a good chance to listen to it, and I'm going to do a quick review on this set. Tell you what's on there, talk about what's on there, what's new, and some overall impressions of the set. I'm not going to go through the package itself because there are some good unboxing videos on YouTube if you want to know what's inside. Now, it struck me while thinking about making this video that there was a very long gap between the Girl Happy sessions in June 1964 and the Harum Scarum sessions, which started at the end of February 65. That's a gap of over 8 months. And Elvis didn't record any new music in that time. And in fact, that was the longest gap between new music since Elvis came back from the army in 1960. And you can definitely hear differences in his voice. For one, I think his voice actually got deeper in that intervening period. And also another thing which I've noticed is his vibrato becomes much more prominent from this album onwards. If you listen to songs such as So Close Yet So Far Away, So Close Yet So Far from Paradise, and My Desert Serenade, and others, his vibrato is very prominent. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a couple of changes in Elvis's singing, in his voice itself, which occurred during that 8-month period. Another thing that struck me listening to the music this time was how seriously Elvis is taking it. And I wondered if that wasn't because, according to Priscilla in her book, she said that Elvis was really looking forward to making the movie Harum Scarum. And as a rule, as in this case here, the soundtrack was recorded before the film. So I wonder if Elvis recorded this music still with that enthusiasm for his upcoming movie in mind. You also, if you look at the session data as well, you'll see that a lot of the songs, or most of the songs on this album, are actually spliced masters. They're spliced splices of 2 different takes. So it's as if they were really trying to get the very best takes. So, but even though Elvis is taking it very seriously, it sounds like he's taking it very seriously. The atmosphere to the sessions is still very good. For instance, in the first song, Shake That Tambourine, there's a really funny classic Elvis outtake moment. I won't tell you what it's about if you haven't heard it, but it's almost up there with take 1 of Beat Shack in terms of how funny it is. Now, at the beginning of disc 1, you get the new remixes of all 11 tracks, and at the end of CD 3, you get the original stereo LP mixes. Now, this album is not known for having a particularly good sound, so it's great to be able to compare the two. And there is a great difference between the new mixes and the original ones. It is a little bit like, I don't know, so you watch a movie on a normal screen, and then you watch the same movie again on like an IMAX screen. The instruments and the vocals, they really pop out. It's almost like 3D. It's a very, very spectacular sounding mix. However, there's a couple of things about the new mixes which I would like to point out later on. And not only that, but there are already good mixes of this album out there. So this one here, this one comes from a CD box set, the movie soundtracks. And this one uses the 2014 masters. So I believe this one is the same as the one that's on the 60 CD set, which I have around here somewhere as well. And the double features CD has another mix as well. I think that was a little bit more reverb heavy, but again, all of them sound much better than the original LP mixes. So what's new then? Well, you get new complete takes of most of the songs, not all of them, but most of the songs you can hear new complete takes on here, which have never been released before. You obviously get all takes of all the songs that Elvis recorded with the band. Now, on the 3rd day, Elvis recorded most of the music with the band, and then when he got to Harum Holiday, Elvis and the band did 2 takes of that, and then I don't know what happened. Maybe Elvis left because the band went on to record a couple more songs without Elvis on the same day. And then in March, a couple of weeks later, Elvis came back to the studio and he redid his vocal for Harum Holiday, and then he also did vocals for the last two songs, which were Go East Young Man and Mirage. Now you get all the band instrumental versions of Mirage and Go East Young Man, but you only get the master vocal takes. So as far as I know, the only thing that's missing is Elvis's vocals for outtake vocals for those last two songs, Go East Young Man and Mirage. Now staying with that session there, the Harum Holiday, Elvis did two takes with the band. The first one is very, very tentative, and the second one he gets through the song. But then when you listen to the vocal, the replacement vocal, which he did, like I said, a couple of weeks later, it's almost like a completely different singer. I don't know what it is, but the way he sings Harum Holiday is completely different when he revisited it 2 weeks later. And for my money, the first version is much better. It's a shame that I think he had some trouble at the beginning of the song. It's not a complete take, perfect complete take. But anyway, you'll just have to listen to that and to work out what I'm trying to say. It's very difficult to explain the difference between the two performances. However, those outtakes there, Harum Holiday, they are already available on the classic album Harum Scarum FTD CD set, so it's not new. There's nothing new here. So some other highlights apart from that, that's one of my favorite parts of the set, is the Harum Holiday outtakes. Particularly I was impressed with the piano playing on Shake That Tambourine, some beautiful jazzy piano playing near the beginning there. I really like how the flute part develops in Animal Instinct. And in fact, Animal Instinct is also a really good song, because a good song to listen to on this set, because it starts out, the first couple of takes are really funky. The pace, the tempo is a little bit slower than it gets up to, and it's kind of touch and go. Which one is better, the earlier funkier takes or the later heavier takes? I'm not sure. It's a really good it's a good little session, is that one. Another very interesting one to listen to is Golden Coins. It's not one of the best songs on the album, but you can hear how the song develops. The bridge in particular, where he sings "Darling, choose anything you see," that bit there. In the early takes, it's really plodded. It really plods. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. But then later on, the guitar gets busier and the percussion gets busier, and it starts to work. So that's another really good session to listen out for. But on the whole, there are not as many surprises in the set as there were in the Girl Happy Sessions set. So songs, there are quite a few songs such as Wisdom of the Ages and So Close Yet So Far, that they sound more or less done from the first complete take. You know, you could have used an earlier take than the master, and still, you know, there's not much difference between the final take and the earlier takes. Even Shake That Tambourine, even though there's 41 takes of it, the arrangement doesn't really develop that much. It's just that Elvis gradually gets into the into when to commit. He struggles with timing at the beginning. When should he come in? There are all kinds of reasons why that song keeps breaking down, but the basic arrangement, it doesn't really change very much over the 41 takes. Now there are just a couple of things I want to say about the new mixes. The first one is to do with My Desert Serenade. So I was listening to My Desert Serenade and I could hear this piano playing, which I'd never heard before. And it's basically Floyd Kramer playing a melody which is identical to the vocal melody. And it really does sound superfluous, like what's it doing there? And I played the original album and I played my other CDs here, and you can just about hear that piano playing on the other versions, but not to the extent that you can hear it on this one. So why they've brought that piano up on this mix, I have no idea, because it adds nothing to the song. Take a listen to it. My Desert Serenade, you can hear Floyd Kramer playing a little melody with his right hand, which is basically doubling what Elvis is singing. Now, why would he do that? I've got no idea. And he also did that with Shake That Tambourine, and you can hear that on the outtakes. And he did that for over 24 takes on Shake That Tambourine, but then he stopped doing it, which is why you can't hear it on the master, because it's not there anymore. And speaking of Shake That Tambourine, the new mix, they actually made a mistake with the splice. Now, I heard something, I listened to this new mix and something didn't seem right. I wasn't sure what it was at the time, but I could hear some guitar playing that I'd never heard before. It was kind of very tentative guitar playing. And when I listened and compared the new mix to the original version, there's another point, a very noticeable point, where Elvis makes a mistake in the lyrics. Now on this new version, he sings bells on their fingers, bells on their toes, where of course the correct lyric is rings on their fingers, bells on their toes. So they've actually made a mistake here with this new splice. You can also hear it again on disc 2. Anyway, that's not really a big problem. I guess it's another version to add to the collection, I suppose. It doesn't really bother me. There are still plenty of good versions of the original. For example, this one here. I would say that on the whole, my favorite part of the collection is the first part of disc 3, which takes you through most of the takes of Golden Coins, where you can hear the bridge developing, Animal Instinct, where you can hear it going from funky to heavy, and Harum Holiday, where you hear that totally different Elvis vocal style compared to the re-recording. But as a whole, if you're a fan of the sessions, then you'll have to get it. And if you're a fan of the movie, it's also essential as well. I'm glad I got it, even though, as I say, it doesn't have quite as many surprises as the Go Happy set, but definitely glad I've got it, and I'm going to be playing that a few more times. So what do you think? Have you got it? I hope this video has made you make up your mind one way or another if you haven't got it. And if you have got it, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments section below. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Cheers.